A major development this week as the Supreme Court asked for alternative briefs in the Zubik versus Burwell case. That's the case of the Little Sisters of the Poor brought against the government over the contraceptive mandate. Joining us now is James Capretta, who is a senior fellow with the Ethics and Public Policy Center. He focuses on healthcare. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So is this an unusual move for the Supreme Court?
Very unusual. My understanding is that this is not very typical for the Supreme Court to ask for a specific brief, going both to the government and the plaintiffs in the case, asking them to weigh in on an alternative solution.
Can this be interpreted as something positive for the Little Sisters of the Poor?
Possibly. I mean, it's really hard to interpret these kinds of things, but it looks to me, and like I think probably to many others, is that somebody on the court is trying to find a way out. They realize that the supposed solution the government has come up with really isn't an accommodation for Catholic groups like the Little Sisters, and therefore they're trying to find a third alternative.
So I know your bias in this case. You think that it's asking too much, it's not asking too much for the Little Sisters of the Poor to be able to have this exception. Why is that?
Well, look, the Little Sisters have been offering health coverage to their workers for decades. No one raised a big issue about this before. This became a sudden issue really in a political context, frankly, in 2012 and 13, where it suddenly became a cause célèbre to make every employer in the country, including those who have objections to it, to make free contraceptive available to all their employees without any consequence.
Under Obamacare.
Under Obamacare. And so, you know, it's pretty obvious to me that if we just allowed groups like the Little Sisters to opt out, there really wouldn't be widespread harm and damage. It would be going back to the way it had been for many, many years.
So what is specifically the solution in your mind?
I think the solution is to allow the Little Sisters and groups like that, other Catholic employers, to continue to offer health coverage that excludes the things that they find objectionable, morally objectionable, according to the Catholic Church. Allow them to do that. And then if the government wants to make other arrangements to allow people to access products and services that are not available in their insurance plans, they can find a third way to do that, working with pharmacies and doctors and others.
Without having the Little Sisters write down a sign on a piece of paper,
of course,
that they are not going to provide this insurance.
Exactly. That's the big problem with the government's supposed accommodation, which is not an accommodation. What it does is it says to the Little Sisters, if you offer health insurance, yes, it appears that these things aren't covered in your plan, but by offering it, an automatic thing will be triggered and all of your employees will be covered anyway in a third-party arrangement. So the Little Sisters know in advance, before they offer the coverage, they can't possibly do this because it's going to trigger this thing. And so, you know, you need a real solution that allows them to act within their conscience rights. And then if the government really feels it's compelling to do something different, they can find another arrangement.
Very good. Thank you, James Capretta, Senior Fellow with the Ethics and Public Policy Center.
Thank you.